So now we're going to do this end of the one-hit wonder, and I have been so busy running everything else, I forgot completely what this panel is about. But but I see a bunch of incredible people, and there is this issue. Robin, you were saying some things I don't think people heard. Where are you, Robin? Yeah, you were saying that there's how many apps out there, and how many actually get purchased, and so there are a lot of this one-hit wonder kinds of concepts, and so advice and thoughts. Some of you have had one-hit wonders. Some of you are working on or moving beyond the one-hit wonder, and we have a great group. So we're going to go right down the line, and let's start with Beth. Introduce yourself and tell us what you're going to talk about.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah. It's Beth Marcus.
Okay, I'm Beth Marcus, CEO of Playrific. We make apps for kids that they love, and we do it for brands and who face the kids' audience. And we have a whole new way of doing things because the traditional app model is broken, and there have to be new ways for companies to not have to rely on hits in order to be successful on a repeated basis. And I'm a serial entrepreneur. I sold my first company to Microsoft in 1996. Those of you who play games, it's a Sidewinder joystick. And I was involved as an advisor, investor in Leapfrog before it went public. And so I have a lot of history to bring to this whole new problem.
And Beth, your app is on the Tabio
It's
tablet.
embedded on the Tabio. It's the safe internet experience on the Tabio.
So you're finding some.
We had 68,000 kids using it every day over the Christmas vacation. And it just really launched a little while ago. And we collect data, but we split the link between the individual and the data so we can aggregate the data and get useful information without having to violate COPPA.
So you're trying to collect a lot of apps and put them under one umbrella. Now the next guy sitting to your left I was specifically told not to introduce him as a celebrity, although we all know him or probably know his voice, because he's rolled up his sleeves and is working on an app just like everybody else. And tell us about what you've been working on.
I'm LeVar Burton. I spent 36 years in traditional media. For 26 years, I hosted and produced a children's television series on PBS called Reading Rainbow. Any Reading Rainbow fans in the house? Reading Rainbow is now an app. We have reinvented the television show as a tablet experience for kids. We currently have about 131,000 books being read by kids in the app, 86,000 video field trips a week being watched. We just passed the 10 million mark, 10 million books and videos being sampled by kids in the app. We are consistently in the top, well, let's see, today we are number 2 in all kids apps. For monetization, we are number 83 of all apps in the App Store. We are making more money than Angry Birds. I'm proud to say that we are getting kids to come to these very engaging tablet devices to read, not just play games, but to read. And for me, that's a game changer.
So you have an app that's in iTunes, and the app is called?
Reading Rainbow.
Reading Rainbow. So it's one thought is that brand and trust does count a lot when you're amongst 47,000 other apps.
We are lucky to enjoy an awful lot of goodwill from the almost 30. The brand celebrated its 30th anniversary this past summer.
And I'm pleased to see that you're not old.
You should listen to my knees, which are very much a dice game when I get up in the morning.
Well, it is kind of neat how quickly technology is changing, but moving into the app age, moving from television, linear media to interactive media is a big transition, one that anyone who's worked on Blue's Clues might know something about. Alice?
Nice segue.
Yeah, that was good.
Was that good?
Yeah, that was very good. Now, are you wanting us to go through what we prepared?
Why don't you introduce yourself, and then we'll kind of go back to it.
Okay, all right. I'm Dr. Alice Wilder. I'm Chief Content Officer for Speakaboos. And as Warren just mentioned, I actually have my doctorate in educational psychology from Teachers College at Columbia University. And from there, I got into Blue's Clues. So I was the Director of Research and Development for Blue's Clues, as well as a producer for the program, and then went on to co-create Super Y on PBS Kids, and then was able to find Speakaboos, which is a digital publishing platform for 2 to 7-year-olds. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that when we get to it.
And Carly Schuler.
Thanks. Hi, I'm Carly. I'm a co-founder at Condoma, and I was here, I guess, at CS Kids at Play about 4 years ago and presented some research that I had done when I was at Sesame, and my partners now were at Nokia, around how to connect families. And the task we were given from our research perspective was how to connect military families, how to use technology to connect families. And what we found was that combining video chat with a shared activity, in this case it was reading, helped families engage when, for example, in this case, a parent was deployed. So we decided that the research idea was too good to remain just a research project, and now we have a startup called Condoma, and I'll tell you about it in a minute.
And Carly, you were at the Joan Gans Cooney Center where we read a lot of your work.
Yes, so I wrote a bunch of the Cooney Center reports. I was the first Cooney Fellow, and I wrote a report, probably the most relevant to this audience, well, Dias for Digital, and then iLearn. And in iLearn, we talked about the app market, and it was sort of written at a time when everyone was like, no one's gonna let a kid use a really expensive glass device. And so things are a little bit different now. So it's exciting to be here.
Okay, and Jody, Leapfrog has come out with a LeapPad Ultra. And so we've been hearing a lot about it, and what are you going to share with us today?
We're just going to talk about how we approach apps in terms of a whole system for kids, really focusing on educational entertainment for kids 3 to 9, focusing on what parents want, what they're looking for, and what we know kids need, and developing around those specific factors.
All right. So in the true spirit of CES, we're going to let the technology drive the panel. What do we have up first? Beth, go ahead.
Okay. No, it says leapfrogs up first.
I guess we're going to do leapfrog.
All right.
I like
Go
to
ahead.
do panels like this.
Thank you. Well, as I said, we really focus on looking at what parents are looking for their kids and what kids need. We know that kids want to be engaged. They want to play with their favorite characters. They have favorite play patterns. And we also know that parents are looking for something of good value. They want their kids to be engaged in what they're playing with and get some time in so that they're learning and that the curriculum really grows with their child. And so that's what we bring into our apps. We have our own app center, so it's available at leapfrog.com. We have over 800 titles now, and these span everything from literacy, mathematics, science, creativity, problem solving, again, using Leapfrog's IP, but also the characters that kids really know and love and trust and want to learn from. And so that's what we're really focused on. But we're also focused on being a resource for parents. We know that parents are looking for content in other places as well, and we want to help them find the best in educational entertainment. And so we've put together a checklist, things that parents can look for as they're searching for the best content. So for example, make sure that the content is COPPA compliant, that it's age appropriate for your child, and that if it's educational, that it's actually been designed or consulted and reviewed by an educational expert. So again, wanting to give kids the experiences that they need and that they deserve, and give parents the peace of mind and the help that they want as well.
All right, LeVar,
Yes.
your turn.
Okay.
I've been told by the technology people.
Okay.
Somebody shuffled the
See,
deck.
look.
Right
boom.
click. And then one more. There we go.
See, it worked.
Oh, hi! I'm Austin, your book buddy here at Reading Rainbow. It looks like you're ready for
Hi,
your
I'm
first
LeVar
book.
Burton, and I'm here to
That's
introduce
great.
you to our new Reading Rainbow app.
Hello? LeVar? Hey, over here! Hey!
Our app will allow your child to access hundreds of...
Hey!
Austin, I'm trying to show the app to people right now.
Can we please do it together? Please?
Okay, go ahead.
Well, first, there are tons of real books.
What he means is quality literature, just like we featured on Reading Rainbow, the television series. And he means hundreds, not tons.
Yeah, sure. There are videos. Super cool videos. Like how a submarine works, and what about snakes, and...
What he means is new video field trips, just like on the original television series.
And it's crazy easy to find the books and videos.
What he means is we've designed themed islands that'll allow your child to discover what they find interesting and exciting. We're not just another bookshelf.
And the books have only light interaction and simple games and rewards, which let your child really experience books as they are meant to be read.
Actually, Austin, that was pretty good.
So check out the Reading Rainbow app. It's fantastic. But you don't have to take our word for it.
So basically, we're a subscription model. We're a library of books and videos, over 300 books and counting, and over 75, 80 videos, video field trips, just like we had on the television show. We add 2 new books and 1 new video every week. Our emphasis is on quality literature. Our publishing partners are the superstars in our universe. We've gone to them and we've said to them, you know how I feel about children's literature. I will treat your books in the digital realm as if they are my own. And we have made good on that promise. The brand is really well loved and trusted by a whole generation of parents now who grew up watching the show as children. And I'm really, really proud of what we're doing with this new technology.
Thank you, LeVar. Your knees move pretty well back and forth,
Yeah.
I have to say.
Did good.
And next up, Speakaboos.
Yes. Can I do that? Excellent. So through all the experiences that I told you about, plus 20 some odd years sitting on the floor talking to kids, I've learned a couple of things. The first, which you already mentioned, is that children learn when presented with content that is high interest and that captures their attention. The other thing that's important, I think, for a conference like this is that the medium is a tool to enhance your content. It does not define your content. And in fact, digital devices can and should make content better due to the affordances that they provide. We also know that children want to learn, and it is our job to make that love of learning as easy to access and afford as possible. So in developing Speakaboos, the blueprint for Speakaboos as a service that inspires children to read, we realized that the app model doesn't truly serve kids, especially when focusing on literacy. To be valuable to children, a literacy service must do 3 things that a single app cannot. It must engage children across a library of high-interest content that they actually want to watch. It has to support children in reading anywhere and everywhere, from the classroom to the living room, on computers, tablets, mobile devices, and even on TVs. And thirdly, it has to be affordable. It has to provide content, and a lot of it, at a price point that's reasonable for both teachers in classrooms and even parents at home. And so we developed Speakaboos from the ground up based on these 3 core principles. The first is engagement, a multi-publisher platform service featuring high engagement, high educational impact stories. Access, delivery of our storybooks across web, mobile, tablet, and TV platforms to educators in schools and to parents at home. And affordability, an access-based subscription model far more affordable than buying hundreds of individual stories and apps. So in the few minutes I have remaining, I want to share some of how we did this. And I'll do it by showing you the most important voice in our development process, the kids themselves, who we make this for. Stories in Speakaboos are tested twice in the production of each. Every story in Speakaboos is tested for high interest and high engagement. They have to be sticky. Oh, no sound.
Boom. Peter's hammock fell on hammock, and Paul's hammock fell on Penelope's hammock, and all the little pigs fell down on the floor.
Again. 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 We were number 1. Again. Do it again.
You like that story or no?
Yeah.
Oh, Alice, they like you.
Ah, that's sweet. Consuming a story on Speakaboos has to be better than reading the physical book alone, or why should we make it digital? In the Speakaboos version of Humpty Dumpty, kids can actually put Humpty Dumpty back together again because digital devices allow for this type of interactivity. It makes the book version of Humpty better, and it feels like a huge reward for our audience.
Can we fix him? Can we fix
Do you think you can?
No, we can't. He's broken.
Drag a piece and find its match. Then you'll see it will reattach. Oh, that's nice.
Putting them back together. We saved the day.
So they were actually moving
Yeah,
those
they were
things?
doing that.
Okay.
Yep, and it was on the computer actually. Not on the iPad.
I remember those.
We scaffold our stories with multiple reading modes that enable children to advance in their mastery of reading at their own pace, thus using the media to its maximum benefit. So here is a clip of something that digital media can do that sitting in someone's lap doesn't allow for. It shows a girl choosing Read It Myself. Watch her experience learning to read on her own.
Or autoplay to get started.
Read it myself. I can hear it.
Click the illustration to see what you can find. Humpty. Dumpty. Sat. On. Wall.
This scaffolding idea is critical. It's building pedagogy into the experience. We're right on the beginning of this process. LeVar, are you doing this?
No, because Reading Rainbow was always about the love of reading, not about teaching reading. There are plenty of other products out there that will teach your kid to read. We are really about developing that relationship between the child who is making the decision as to whether or not they're going to be a reader for life or not, and the written word. That's what we do.
And Carly, who does your scaffolding?
Well, in Condoma, which I'll tell you about in a second, all the scaffolding is done by the human, so the parent or the grandparent that's reading with the kid from afar.
How about that?
And we try to model. I mean, we have the scaffolding built into the technology of it, but we also model what scaffolding could be.
We got one more slide?
Yeah, and I just want to say the results to date are very promising. We're seeing really high engagement with children spending 3+ hours a month reading 30+ books, often on their own. High spend, with 40% of our subscribers choosing annual or semi-annual subscriptions, and high retention, with subscribers making a long-term commitment to Speakaboos. And the result is a sustainable commercial model for a global literacy service.
Thank you, Alice. Carly.
Thanks. Okay, so I'll just switch to my presentation. So, like I said, 5 years of research between Sesame Workshop and Nokia proved to us that video chat does enable families when they're not in the same place to tap into new ways to communicate. But I don't know if anyone's tried to Skype with a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old.
Oops, did you know?
Doesn't really work. These kids don't want to have long conversations. They want to play, they want to read, they want to draw. So we're tapping into the power of technology to enable families to play together when they can't be together. And I'm going to show you a video that tells you what we're up to. No problem.
And it's so nice when these guys are sharing the same computer, so we share.
We learned.
How many hoodies do you see, Paul? That's Carly's daughter, by the way.
And my husband.
We don't know who the guy is, but So is it asynchronous? Is that the word? Or it's synchronous?
Good question. So it's synchronous communication. So what's really amazing is that there's something called dialogic reading. So when you read with a child, you naturally point at the page. So you might say, you know, Alice, what's that? And she would say, that's a balloon. And she might say, Carly, can you count how many red dots you see? And you would say, 1, 2, 3. It's something we all do when we're reading to children in the preschool age group. And so in our app, both sides can not only see and hear each other, but they see where each other are pointing. So we've worked very hard to essentially make it feel like the child's in your lap when you're really far away. And so I just have 2 quick slides. We're making 2 very big announcements right now for the first time. So if you like the idea of
Yet another major announcement here at the
Yet another
International
major
Consumer
announcement.
Electronics Show in Las Vegas, Nevada.
yes, this is
Here it is, folks.
Exactly. This is as big as the Google Glasses. So as you can see here, we've traditionally been on the iPad only. And we want to help families be together when they can't be together. And many families are not 2 iPad families. So we've had a lot of encouragement to bring our product to other devices. So we're announcing right now that we have an iPhone version of our product, which is very exciting. It's a huge design challenge to bring this kind of experience to the smaller screen. So people often ask, why don't you have an iPhone version? Well, that's why. And then the other announcement we're making, so we have a unified subscription model, and I imagine maybe we'll talk about that more on the panel, but you really need to keep offering more and more content to your customers if you want to ask them to pay, you know, $4.99, $6.99, $9.99 a month. And we got a lot of feedback from a lot of really smart people that kids want to do, reading is so important, but they want to do more. So in February, we're launching Condoma Draw. So it'll be synchronized drawing, so you can together draw a picture, or you can play tic-tac-toe or hangman. We just pictured what a child and parent would do if they were sitting together, or a child and grandparent with a pen and a piece of paper, and we're going to try to bring that experience to families when they can't be together. So,
Cool.
Thanks.
Nice.
Please.
So sort of synchronous doodlecast.
Yeah.
Sort of, yeah,
Okay.
sort of synchronous doodlecast.
Yeah. Thanks, Carly. That's good.
Thanks for having me.
It's nice to see when you do a review and you point out limitations that you're changing, you're evolving, and you're clearly listening and following the kids.
Yeah, we are.
Beth, we are moving so fast. Oh, yes.
So since I'm a PhD engineer, I took the challenge of this panel literally, and I said, let's look beyond the one app wonder. So I pulled in some statistics about, you know, what's going on in the App Store, primarily the iOS App Store here. There's a few little statistics, and if anybody's interested, the notes on the slides have all the references, so you guys can post that stuff. The bottom line is these guys are unusual in the world of apps. Subscription models are unusual, and I'll come back to that later. Most of the people who are making money in the App Store are doing in-app purchases, and from a COPPA point of view, that's a really challenging thing to do, and if we have time, we can talk more about what that really means. But the average app in the iOS App Store makes $4,000. It costs a lot more than that to do the average app, and the average app developer makes $21K a year. My guess, looking at the data, is that there are 10,000 apps that make a reasonable amount of money at best. If you look at the top grossing apps, they make 25% of the total, and the next make 5%. And if you look at, I'm sorry you guys aren't up there because this data didn't have you guys in it, but you know, Toca Boca, Disney, Nickelodeon, they have 27 of the top 50. But if you look at that as well, in general, in the iOS category, most of them are free or freemium, and those guys are charging for it for the most part. So that's really interesting. Promotion can buy slots in the category. Without promotion, profitability is a hits-driven business. So we're back to the who can be the next Temple Run, who can be the next Angry Birds, who can be the next Cut the Rope. And that's not what any of us wants. We want sustainable business models. In the case of Playrific, where we want to inject education into everything we do across different disparate types of content like video and games and books that read to kids and images and everything else you could think about that kids want to consume through these devices. And subscriptions are underutilized. When I started this company in 2010, we started out as a subscription model, and then we went to schools, and then we went to consumers, and then we went to free to paid. And now our model is changed. And what we're doing, we have a publishing platform, so we can take your content that exists already out there in the world, and we can take it and transform it and make it valuable on mobile. So we can get your brand in front of kids in a very cost-effective and fast way and let you learn and engage your audience over time. So once our apps are in market, you can change everything that's in them at a moment's notice. So if you have an app that's about animals and there's a stranding of a whale, content about that can be in there tomorrow. Because kids want to know, what are the other kids talking about on the playground? We actually do have Iris the Fox in our free app. So if you were on the Tavio, you could have gotten it through our thing, and it's previewed and looked ahead of time and tagged and put into the database. The tapping bird from YouTube, that's in our free app. In our paid apps, the content is all owned by the app owner, who are the brands. And so this is a little summary. Traditional apps, I mean, the amount of, you guys probably spend more than the 30 to 150K building your stuff, because you're building your stuff and pushing a lot of stuff through it. But the average guys take, if you're a brand and you hire somebody, you're spending between 30 and 150K. It's really hard to get that investment back. It takes 4 to 6 months. If you hand us your assets tomorrow, we used to say 2 weeks, but it takes longer than that to actually get the assets and get the conversation going, so we now say 4 weeks. And we have 3 years of data. We've been collecting data since we started in a COPPA-compliant way. We know how many minutes, based on the age groups of 2 to 12, and our sweet spot is 3 to 8 today, but it's aging up. We know what length of video they want to watch, what the mix is between video content and interactives, and photos as well. I mean, we know all this stuff that isn't out there anywhere that we can bring to bear for the brands in order to help them engage with the world. And you're seeing for the first time, another first, SeaWorld allowed me to put their logo up there. It's not been formally announced. It won't be announced for another month or so. We're going to be doing, I can't tell you what we're doing, but we're doing a lot of stuff with them. And there are a bunch of brands that aren't on here yet, because brands need access to where the kids live, where they are every day, and they're on mobiles. They're on the little screens, they're on the big screens, and they expect to be in the stream of what's going on in the world. And with the brands they love, they want to see what's going on with those animals or with the story of the Jungle Book, but they want to know the real animals behind the Jungle Book, and it's our job to help the brands do that.
Okay, Beth, I want to take a couple questions from these guys as well. So,
one other comment, because of David's pogs, I'll add one more monetization,
okay,
which is we've been playing around with sponsored apps, because I think this is another untapped area. Because brands, we surveyed parents a while ago about if you had to, because you can't make a lot of money at $1.99 a piece unless you have external marketing dollars and lots of push and lots of, millions of email subscribers. So how would you parents like to see the advertising enter? And the least offensive way is sponsorships. If something said, this app about your child's health is sponsored by your favorite toothpaste company across the bottom, they like that much better than interstitials or than pop-ups or than almost anything else you can do. Anyway, so we can add that to the list.
Yeah, and so I think the comment that we're still in the Wild West of monetization is probably accurate. Would you guys agree?
And new models have to be created. You can't just try to have a huge budget if you're a startup, and you can't just fail and keep raising money, as some of our other panelists said before. You have to find a way to make money today. And there are new ways to do that, and people have to be open to using those new ways.
LeVar?
Making money is good. We are a for-profit business. We were cultivated and incubated within the PBS system. And so it's one of our challenges has been in the relaunch, the reboot of Reading Rainbow, to get people to separate in their minds the television show from the new media business.
I forgot my last slide.
Oh, go,
Sorry
please.
about that. This is, how do I get to run? I just click in it or something?
That's a computer.
So that's a tablet actually. This is an iPad. You can't hear the sound.
And while that's going, you guys, who's
These
making stuff
spines are
for
covered with venom.
Android? You guys Android,
Android, iOS,
iTunes,
everything.
So you're both
Yes, we are on the Kindle Fire, and
trilingual.
Yeah, and because the tablet market is very, very fractured, and not everybody can afford an iPad, our goal in 2014 is to port our product to the web, and that will become the template for our product for schools and
You are
teachers.
an island.
We are.
How's
we
it
are
feel?
unto ourselves.
Are you lonely?
No, I mean, it's working, and it's a safe place for parents to come, and I think that's what parents are
So we have the untablet.
Right.
And
So
we
it-
can work on that too.
Unconventional.
Yeah.
We work on all of them.
All right, great.
Anyway.
Well, it seems like it is a crazy world. Thanks for making it a little bit less crazy. Robin, are you here? My timekeeper. We're almost on schedule. Our next panel is related very much to what this is about. It's Nancy McIntyre, and she, I hope, will bring out the Samsung Kids tablet, which
Get your wish.
yes, which I highly encourage you all to try. It was my favorite of the 20 that I tested in terms of it had a home button. Oh my gosh. And, so
So,
But
yeah, a lot of these are on the Venetian show floor. Please spend some time with the apps and think about getting beyond the one-hit wonder and into these new mechanisms. Just so you know, yesterday at our Silver Summit for Boomers, Kindoma won the award there, picked by AARP, by the AARP judges who want
that
that
cute
for their
kid?
grandparents. So as you're thinking, and I just said this to a guy in the hall, as you're thinking about where you're going to go, keep my words of wisdom in mind. Kids and older people really have they like the same things. They like simple things. They like talking to each other. They like drawing pictures together. And that doubles your audience as well. So my thanks. And they'll be outside in the hall for questions. LeVar, thank you. Beth, Alice, all of you. I'm like losing it.
thank you guys.